Hey guys, welcome to the Farmer's Table. My name is Jess, and here in my kitchen we talk all about food, preserving it, preparing it, loving it, sharing it. And today I want to talk to you guys about simple syrups. Very simple topic. I could cover this in 30 seconds. So if you're one of those people that's going to complain about me being long-winded, equal parts sugar and water, melt it. Then let it sit for a minute, put it in a jar and stick it in the fridge. That's what you need to know. You can flavor it however you like. But for those of you who really want to learn a little bit more about food, let's talk about this a little bit. And I'm gonna show you some applications, not only in how to make simple syrups, but in how to use them. So in the journey of becoming aware of what we're putting in our body while we just consume what is offered to us at the grocery store, we kind of have this awakening that happens, and I went through it when I first started really opening my eyes to what was in food, which has been, I don't know, almost 2 decades ago. I know that many of you are kind of going through that. New people are waking up to this every day. Some people are waking up to it because they're facing a health crisis and they're having to really look at their diet for the first time ever. For my case, I had a child with a food allergy. That's really what led me to start reading labels and going, wait, what is that? And doing some research that was very eye-opening. For many people, you know, you watch somebody like me and you hear me say things and go, what do you mean by that? You start reading. I don't know how you came to realizing that a lot of the things that are currently in the standard American diet are detrimental, but if you are there, I want to talk about an alternative for one of the biggest things that people have a hard time kicking, and that is sugary drinks, namely sodas, like canned drinks that are full of sugar, that are highly processed, that are often sweetened with things like high fructose corn syrup, which of course is a highly processed material created from bioengineered corn in pretty much all cases. And the problem, I believe, with consuming so much sugar in a liquid form is that oftentimes you get to the end of the day and you probably can't even say how much sugar you consumed in that day. Because if you're drinking multiple sodas a day and then you're eating fast food, or you're eating even just like store-bought processed food, there's sugar in some form in all of those things. I remember when I first started reading food labels realizing, like, why is there sugar in my pasta sauce? Why is there sugar in my bread? Why is there sugar in my frozen egg rolls? Why is there sugar in absolutely everything that I'm buying? When I first actually fully cut out all sweeteners for the first time, I realized that I really couldn't eat much processed food at all because it was all sweetened to some degree. Now, when we realize that all of those foods are created by corporations and want to make money, and our human biology is that when we taste something that is sweet and that is sweetened with something that spikes our blood sugar, it actually trips endorphins in us. It makes us feel happy. It makes us feel good. And we are driven by our biology to get as much sugar as we can, because if you go back to a time where it wasn't so readily available, people did need to eat as much as they could of the carbs and the sugars and the different things when they were available, because they were able to store that as energy in their body to use later. Now, the problem is now it's so massively available that we're storing a whole lot of it, and then we're struggling with health issues. A lot of people really take the approach of like, go super black and white, cut it all out, you should never drink any of this stuff again. And I think ultimately what happens with that is, you know, while some people are like gung-ho ready to go on that approach of like being super black and white, a lot of people just aren't ready for that. We have to consider all of the emotional and cultural ties that go into the food that we eat. You got to meet people where they are, or you're just going to leave them where they are. And I don't want to do that. And personally, I still, even though I used to be a very regular daily soda drinker, 20 years ago, I was at Sonic every single day getting my Route 44 vanilla Coke every single day. But I have now come to a place that I drink almost entirely water. I really don't consume a lot of sugar. I drink my coffee black. I am pretty hands-off, but there comes an occasion where I really want something sweet. And there are other applications, so not just for me, for my kids, for guests that are coming to my house. I like to be able to have an option. So there's something that I do. Instead of constantly making pitchers of sweet drinks and keeping them constantly stocked, our approach is that we keep the individual components around, and we can use them to mix up individual drinks, and that way when it's done, it's done. We're not going to keep mindlessly consuming. We're not going to keep refilling just because it's there. We had our sweet drink, then we fill back up our water cup and we move on. And simple syrups is kind of like my way of doing that. So I've never actually thought to share this because it is such a simple thing. However, today I was putting together this simple syrup. I'm experimenting with a recipe, trying to come up with the ratios we're gonna use at our coffee shop for a pop-up shop we're using on a lavender simple syrup, because I wanted to have it as our seasonal flavor. Lavender, a lot of people haven't ever had that in beverages. And I was putting together lavender blossoms and sugar and water on the stove, and I thought, you know, I bet a lot of people would benefit from knowing about this, and it might help them kick a soda habit. It might help them eliminate that from their grocery budget. Sodas are expensive. Pre-mixed sugary drinks are really expensive, and not only are they expensive, a lot of times you're paying high dollar for really low quality ingredients. So as I said, simple syrups are very, very simple. They're easy to make and extremely versatile. Now, the most basic way that you're going to make a simple syrup is to combine equal parts. Here I've got 1 cup of sugar with 1 cup of water. I've put this over medium-high heat, and I'm gonna stir it occasionally, and I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and then turn it down all the way to low and let it simmer for like 5 minutes to just make sure it's all completely integrated, and turn the heat off. And you don't wanna boil it for long, because if you cook sugar to too high of a temperature, it's gonna harden, and that's not what we want. We really just want it to create a like sugar water suspension that we can easily mix into other ingredients. Now here I did the equal parts sugar and water, and right when it came to a boil, I dropped in a 1/4 part of lavender flower. So this was 2 cups sugar, 2 cups water, 1/2 cup lavender flower. Obviously I would have scaled that up if I was going to make more, but I'm really just testing this recipe. I think this is going to be just about perfect. And now I'm just letting that sit and steep for a little while. The heat is off and it's just sitting in there. And after like 10 or 15 minutes, I'll strain it out, and that will be my lavender syrup. With the regular, sometimes I just make it completely plain. Sometimes I will make simple syrup, and as soon as I turn the heat off, I'll mix in some vanilla paste or vanilla extract. You can use any sort of extracts, like store-bought extracts. Things like maple extract or lemon or peppermint. With those, if you're doing a cup of sugar and a cup of water, I would just add like a teaspoon after you turn the heat off and mix it in. You can steep any sort of herbs. You can steep cinnamon sticks. You can steep spices. You can play with this to all sorts of degrees. One of my favorite simple syrups to make is I'll do a couple cups sugar, a couple cups water, and then a 1/2 cup of rose petals, hibiscus, just whatever it is that you want to play with. And I'm hesitant to give you exact recipes on those things because you don't need it. Like, you can literally just play with this, and the worst case is you're going to get something that you go, oh, this time the flavor wasn't as strong as I would like, and you know next time to add more. This is just so preferential that starting with the baseline and experimenting, I think, is the best way to figure out what it is you actually like. All right, we're gonna strain this out the best we can. Hopefully don't pour it all over the counter. A lot of people are familiar with buying and using simple syrups to make cocktails. And I've seen at the grocery store where they sell like squirt bottles or jars of simple syrup for, you know, $3 or $4 for maybe a pint of the stuff. Don't buy that. That is not a good deal. It is sugar and water, and they probably added some sort of additive to it to keep it fresh longer, and you can make it at home. And if you want to save money, just make it as you need it. I found that it lasts for quite a while as long as you keep it refrigerated. I'm talking like weeks. I've never had it go bad. Of course, in our house we go through things pretty quickly, but I've had it be in my fridge for weeks and be fine. Beyond cocktails, simple syrup is great if you want to stop using flavored coffee creamers, because say you've made a vanilla simple syrup, you can then sweeten your coffee with that and then add some half and half or cream or a splash of milk, whichever you prefer, and you essentially have a vanilla creamer in your coffee without having the vegetable oils that are often present in coffee creamers. Another way that we'll use simple syrup is by making lemonade at home. So if I've got like this lavender simple syrup, I can mix 1 part of this with 1 part lemon juice and then cover it with ice and water, stir it all up, and I have a lavender lemonade. It's delicious. It's simple. It doesn't have a lot of extra stuff in it. But for the case of sodas, all you need is some sort of bubble water. So this is Topo Chico, which is like a carbonated mineral water. Any sort of carbonated water. You can do this with something flavored like a LaCroix or a Spindrift and add the sweetener to it. And you might not even need to add more flavor to it. It might be enough to make it like a soda for you. The beautiful thing is that you can determine how much sweet you want to put in your drink. Now, if you're trying to make it taste like a store-bought soda, you're gonna want to put about a 1/4 cup of simple syrup in 12 ounces or so of bubble water. That's about the same sweetness level as a store-bought soda. And I actually believe that making that yourself, if you're gonna consume that much sugar, it's still better for you than consuming something that has a lot of chemical ingredients in it. It's probably significantly cheaper to buy like a cheap bubble water and add a homemade sweetener to it than it is to buy those store-bought sodas. And on top of that, you are aware of how much sweetener that you're drinking. I love the fact that I can make a sweet soda that's not as sweet as that stuff, because as I said, I don't consume a whole lot of sugar, so it doesn't take a lot for me to feel like, oh wow, this is really sweet. So I just fill up a cup with ice and put my soda water in it. This is still kind of hot. It would be better if this was already cooled because it wouldn't melt my ice, but just put a splash of that in my soda water. And I have this lovely beverage that really hits the spot if I'm feeling like something sweet. And that lavender is on point. I just gotta say, that's really good. Now if you want to take it up another notch from here, just put a little splash of heavy cream in it, and then you have an Italian cream soda. Whatever flavors would be a lavender Italian cream soda. And though this is sugar, these are ingredients that I know where they came from. This is an organic sugar. I feel good about the sourcing of it. It's non-GMO. I know how much is in here. I'm aware of what I'm consuming, and I'm saving money. So here you have it, friends. Just a little quick PSA about something simple you can do to reevaluate what it is you're buying at the store and maybe make some small changes that can benefit your health and your budget. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. God bless you. Until next time.